having a great time, and we started talking a little bit about the game and its critical reception and how ridiculous it is. Specifically, this idea that the game is, has no content and it's not going to have an active player base. I've seen that like several times. It just isn't true. If you look at like something like say Nintendo Switch Sports, that still has an active player base today. Games like Mario Strikers Battle League still has an active player base today. Like these games have an audience. Like people are having trouble wrapping their little minds around this. But like the reality is, because it's a sports game, it is endlessly replayable. People are going to play this game, play other people, and develop their skill sets and get better at the game and have fun with what it is. So like it seems to be a reoccurring problem with Nintendo sports games actually, because nobody ever says that like, oh man, like Madden 26 doesn't have enough content. Like, what do you mean? It's like football, Like it's like the core problem with like Madden is that like it doesn't grow or evolve as a series and reuses all of its animation. Like this does not have that problem. This is a brand new sports game from Nintendo themselves, from a very small team in Nintendo actually. And yeah, I've played enough of it now for a couple of hours that it is a very solid sports game. It does have a high skill ceiling. It does have a lot of cool tricks you can do. It does have like things you can do. Like everyone I see complaining about it, like is complaining about it for superficial reasons. Like oh, not enough content, not enough personality. Which by the way isn't true. By the way, because I love this game's vibe and like just the designs of the characters and just how you can like high five people on the street. Like what about bro? Like it's just cool. Yeah, yeah. See, you can spin the ball. Like the way people like screw around. Oh, yeah. How do you spin the ball? I've never actually tried it. Yeah, the fact that you can like screw around with people in between games. But yeah, like this is the core problem with like these Nintendo sports games is that people don't understand how this genre actually works. Like you don't need an extensive amount of single player content. Like you just need the sport. And we've seen this happen with pretty much every Nintendo sports game over the past decade. Ultra Smash, Mario Golf Super Rush, Nintendo Switch Sports, like Battle League especially, I think got the worst of it. Like this idea that like these are lazy and low effort, and that they're not going to have a lot of replay value is just completely and totally wrong, especially in this era of online play. And and just we've been consistently seeing the same thing over and over again, like where people insist like the games aren't going to have active player bases, that nobody's going to play them long term, and then meanwhile you can like go on like Mario Tennis Aces right now and still find people who will shoot people who will like play you online. Like last time I played that in I think last year or this year or something. It wasn't that long ago. I found like matches. I played people in Mario Tennis Aces, a game that came out in 2018. Like because there hasn't been a new Mario Tennis game since. Like it's still a fun like engaging game that you can come back to every once in a while. Hang on, oops. Wait, what's he doing? He's going the wrong way. Wait, huh? Why is he going that way? That's our. Oh, he got the ball. Okay. Uh, does he have yellow on his? Yeah, he has yellow on his. Yeah, yes, yeah, he has yellow on his chair. So I thought on his vehicle. Excuse me. He had yellow on his vehicle, and I thought that was the ball. Okay. Okay. Like again, the game is just endlessly entertaining. All right, you can like pop this in, play a lot of games for it, like and just enjoy it for what it is. It is like this game's like this console's Wii Sports. It has that same like design philosophy of like motion controlled sports games, and there's really nothing else like it. And it's crazy how smooth and intuitive it is. Like, people are really getting too hung up on like the alleged lack of content and just like lazy game design, when in reality, this is a pretty impressive product, I think. And one that I've been playing quite regularly all day. Oops, hang on. Oops. One with a pretty high skill ceiling. Oops, hang on. All right. Oop. Get over here, you. Oop. What? Okay. Where's the other guy? Where's my teammate? On it. Uh. He missed. Darn it, we lost. So yeah, like hyper competitive gameplay, right? Like it is a fun video game, and that's really all you should be evaluating these games for. Like everything else you see people complaining about, it just doesn't really make any sense. Like especially when and I think this is becoming a trend. Like when you're complaining about allegedly a declining player base, because I've seen a lot of people say that already. Is that like, well, this game is the best. It cracked the top 10 on the eShop, but that doesn't mean anybody's actually playing it. It's like, bro, like people are playing this game. You heard people saying the same thing about Mario Kart World. Actually, is that like, oh, the game's player base is declining? Like, no, it's not. Like, it really isn't. And I suppose this is just like the new cope that people have come up with to try and like downplay Nintendo games. But it's just so absurd and patently ridiculous. And I do think we do need to call it out, because you can tell even with like relatively obscure smaller budget games like this, like they have active player bases. They have like plenty of people playing them. Like they have like plenty of things going on. Like I don't understand necessarily why so many people so adamantly like are so adamant that this game is some kind of disappointment. And I do think it's worth like mentioning that the people who said the game was like bad were shitting on it when it was first shown off. Like they uh they basically came to this conclusion before the game even came out. And I think that's it's really worth noticing that when it comes to these people. Like, are the people like complaining about this game like someone who enjoys Nintendo Switch Sports? Like, is it someone who has a long history with with like Nintendo sports titles, with like Mario Sports and all those stuff? Like, are these fans of the genre? Like, and I think considering the comparisons that are made about this game, right now the big one is comparing this to Arms. Uh, like, it's nothing like Arms at all. It's not a fighting game. So like, why the comparison? Other than like this weird like idea that people have that Arms was a failure, which is not and never was true. Oh, what an idiot! Oh, I screwed that up. Okay, hang on. Oop. Yeah, I've gotten so into the game that I completely lost my train of thought. But that's kind of my feeling on this. Is that like, uh, if you're the kind of person who's comparing this to Arms, like I can assure you that you were the kind of person that was insisting that Arms was a failure when it first came out. Like I remember how Arms was received when it came out, and everybody insisted it was a failure, and that wasn't true at all. It did very very well for a fighting game, for a new fighting game IP, but everybody like kind of wrote it off like instantly and tried to like declare it as one of the worst failures in the first year of Nintendo Switch, which of course was not true. And like it's shaping up. This is going to be the same way, where it's this really fun, unique like sports game, but um, everybody is doing everything they can to. Oh, we got it. Nice. Okay. Everyone's doing their best to like kind of act like this is some like disaster. Like this game was sold for $20. Okay, it had an 18-man team. Like Nintendo, like this game, like no matter how well it did, this game wasn't going to be like some huge disaster. Like it's not really possible for a game like this to ruin a company like Nintendo. Okay, and what is like the simple fact of the matter is, this is going to end up exactly like Arms, where people like insisted the game was going to fail before it came out, insisted that it did fail after it came out, and then years after the fact tried weaponizing that game against other games. In the end, it turned out that Arms would be weaponized against this one because there's some superficial idea that like, well, they're both early Nintendo Switch like launch titles, but in reality, they're nothing alike. And that's kind of my mindset, looking at this and seeing what's been happening is that like yeah, playing this game myself, yeah, it's really really good. Like this isn't like some mediocre sports like low budget game. No, it's better than like most indie games that come out. This is definitely something that should be like be exciting for people, and yet everybody just wants to talk down about it because they know complaining about a new Nintendo game is gonna get them views.